Daniel Carter had learned the map of their life the hard way. Every crack in the wallpaper, the crooked picture over the fireplace, the exact time Melissa liked to water her orchids. After 10 years, habits were the compass that kept him steady, the small certainties that made the house theirs. He had a route from bedroom to kitchen to the little desk where he paid bills. Melissa had a route from the coffee pot to the couch, and then to the treadmill she swore she'd use more. They moved around each other like two quiet currents in a pond, never colliding, never quite mixing. Then, like a pebble dropped in familiar water, something small changed. It began with a laugh he didn't recognize. It wasn't malicious, there was warmth in it, but it belonged to another life, not theirs. Melissa had always laughed for him. A quick exhale when he told a dumb joke, a larger sound when she was truly surprised. This laugh landed somewhere else, and it left a residue of discomfort on him. "Long day?" he asked one Thursday night, when she came in later than usual, the tail of her hair damp from rain though the forecast had promised clear skies. She shrugged, tying her scarf loose around her neck. Report ran over. "They kept me. You okay? You look like you saw a ghost." He forced a smile. "Just the TV. The news is bleak." "You worry too much," she said, smooth and practiced, and kissed his cheek with the kind of tenderness that used to erase his doubts. He wanted to believe her, wanted to let that small, familiar ritual undo the tension he suddenly felt in his ribs. But when she pulled away, she pressed something into her palm and tucked it into the pocket of her coat with more haste than necessary. A phone? A receipt? He didn't ask. He told himself it was paranoia. He told himself 1,000 things men tell themselves to stay sane. The next morning, on the kitchen table beneath the slow drip of the coffee maker, was a charging cable he didn't own. It had been coiled carefully, as if someone had taken the time to fold it and hide it like contraband. Daniel bent over it and laughed, a private embarrassed sound. Melissa never left new cords anywhere. She was the tidy one. He slid the cable into the drawer and convinced himself he'd misplaced his own the week before. Then there were the late texts. A message that would light up her phone at 1 in the morning, a screen that she would flip face down before he could see. He learned to measure time by the way her shoulders tightened when the phone buzzed during dinner. "It's Jeff from analytics," she would say later when he asked, and he would nod, picturing fluorescent-lit offices, spreadsheets, nothing more. He had worked with Jeff, with 100 Jeffs and Jennifers and Thomases over the years. People sat up late for deadlines. People called to double-check figures. People sometimes made their way into other people's lives. But the idea of carefully folded cords and secret smiles lodged itself like a burr. One morning, while she was in the shower and the house hummed with steam, he found a receipt tucked under a stack of unpaid bills, an Uber receipt. 2:14 a.m., 2 miles from their neighborhood. The name on the driver's profile was generic, but the pickup location was clear, the edge of a strip of hotels off Route 9. He felt the floor tilt like a ship taking a sudden lurch. It wasn't the speed of his breathing that alarmed him so much as how small the motion was and how much it scattered everything he thought was steady. He put the receipt back where he had found it. He could have questioned her that night. He could have taken it to her like an accusation clutched in a hand. Instead, he waited. He told himself he would catch her in a lie, and that truth would be a clean thing. One question, one answer, one resolution. He placed the receipt on top of the recycling bin and told himself it was evidence in a future he could control. That afternoon, Melissa returned home with a new perfume that she hadn't worn before. Not their usual citrus blend, but something deeper, muskier. Daniel inhaled the faint scent on the collar of her shirt when she hugged him and felt his face heat up with a humiliation he refused to name. "You smell different," he said, trying for casual, for a joke. "Oh," she said, sulking with that small theatrical tilt of her head that had once charmed him into buying her flowers for no reason. "It's a sample from a client. Their PR firm sent it." She laughed and moved to the sink, as if the conversation had been nothing more than a surface ripple. Why was everything so small and mutable? Why did the gathering of these trivial things, a cable, a late receipt, a smell, feel like a net drawing taut? He found himself cataloging the extra hours at the office, the unexplained texts, the jokes she told now with a secondary audience in mind. He would find a lipstick mark on a napkin in her purse and feel it like a physical blow, though everyone knows the mark could be from a cafe, from a flash of lipstick on a stranger's cheek in a photo from a sample pack. Everyone knows how easy it is to make a small thing mean a great many catastrophic things. Saturday came and Melissa said she was going to brunch with Claire. Claire was her friend from grad school. They went on and off about once a month when their schedules allowed. Daniel watched Melissa walk down the path to the car and counted the time it took for her to reach the driveway, and then turned back to wave at him from behind the wheel. She'd always been a good actor when it came to simple domesticity. He liked to believe that she was not acting at all. She was just being light, playful. He told himself to go to the hardware store and buy a new light for the porch, something mundane to keep his hands busy. He drove past their usual coffee shop and turned left on autopilot, then right along the avenue where the boutiques glowed. He noticed a man in a hoodie standing outside an elevator bank, and his mind, traitor that it was, supplied a narrative. Melissa had a meet-up, an exchange of keys, a dropped wallet. It was ridiculous, and he felt ridiculous for thinking it. He chided himself for being the kind of man who followed edges for hints. But that evening, after Melissa had gone out again for drinks with a supposed client, a small moment broke the dam. Their neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, waved from her stoop and called across the lawn. "Daniel, do you have a minute? Your wife left this here," she said, holding up a slim, unfamiliar envelope. It fell out of something when she came past. Daniel felt a thin snow of panic and something else, curiosity, sharpened and ugly. He took the envelope with an apology and went inside. The house suddenly too quiet for the two of them who had once populated it with music and small domestic squabbles. Inside, on the kitchen counter, he slit the envelope open with the heel of his hand. A card slid out, plain, not a thank you or an appointment reminder. Just a small folded note with 2 words written in a careless, slanted hand. Tonight, 10. No name, no heart, no smiley face, no signature that could be blamed on a child or a neighbor. Just the number, blunt as a hammer. For a moment he laughed at himself, a single, bitter sound. But the laugh was a thin reed in a windstorm. It did not steady him. It pushed him to the edge of something he did not yet want to admit. He left the card on the table and sat down at the kitchen island, as if waiting for some new instruction in a play written for him without his consent. The house seemed to hold its breath. When she came home later, smelling of cologne he did not recognize and laughter that betrayed nothing in its source, he watched her movements as if they were clues on a map. She hung up her coat with the neatness of someone who never wanted to leave traces. She kissed him on the cheek like a good night and said, "You're home early. Everything okay?" As if she had not been the one to leave a note wrapped in an envelope to be found on his counter. He looked at her and felt a strange double vision. The woman he had loved for a decade, unchanged in so many ways, and another woman, thinner at the edges, practiced in private, carrying secrets in the shapes of folded receipts and cords. He wondered which version would keep smiling tomorrow. "Everything's fine," he said, and heard his voice like someone else's. He wanted to ask. He wanted to tear the private life out and examine it under light. But what would he do with the truth if it arrived? What if the truth, once revealed, tore him into pieces that could not be gathered again? He thought about people he knew whose marriages slid into silence, small betrayals that widened like rivers swollen from thawing snow. He thought about humility, about shame, about the way the world narrows to the size of the thing you cannot hold. As Melissa turned off the kitchen light, the faint scent of a different perfume clung to the air like an accusation. Daniel folded the small card and slid it back into the envelope with a care that nodded to the reverence of someone putting a relic away. He set it in the drawer beneath the charging cables, as if burying it would keep the tide from pulling more secrets in. But that night, when he lay awake, he heard a laugh he did not belong to, and the house seemed suddenly too full of doors. At 1:03 a.m., his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. He sat up. He did not open it. He felt, with a precision that hurt, that everything was about to change. He did not know yet whether the change would be a revelation or a ruin. He only knew he could no longer pretend the map of their life was whole. The message blinked on his phone screen for what felt like an hour. Unknown number. "You should see what she's doing tonight." Daniel's pulse hammered so hard that the sound of his heartbeat filled the room. He stared at the message until the screen dimmed, the words shrinking into darkness. He didn't answer. He just sat there in the faint blue light, hearing the refrigerator hum, the whisper of wind against the window. It could have been a prank, a cruel joke, but something in him knew it wasn't. The next morning, Melissa was already up, humming softly as she made coffee. She looked perfect, ordinary. Too ordinary. "Morning," she said cheerfully, pouring his cup. "You were tossing a lot last night." "Yeah," he said, taking the cup. "Couldn't sleep." "Work stress again?" she asked, not looking up. He watched her, how her hand trembled just slightly as she stirred the sugar. She never used sugar. "No," he said. "Not work." Melissa finally looked at him. "Then what?" He wanted to say it. "I got a message last night." But her eyes, steady, calm, rehearsed, made him falter. Instead, he asked quietly, "Where were you last night, Mel?" Her lips parted just a fraction. Then she smiled, too quickly. "I told you. Client dinner. I texted you, didn't I?" "You did," he said. "But the restaurant you mentioned." He opened his phone, tapping on the map. "It closes at 9. For a moment, the air froze. Then she laughed, bright, unbothered, but just a note too high. "Oh, Daniel. We went somewhere else after. The place downtown near the river. The one with the rooftop bar. You've been there." He hadn't, and she knew that he knew. But she said it anyway, like she was daring him to call her bluff. He set down the cup. "You didn't say that. Do I really need to text you every time I change plans?" The edge in her voice made the kitchen feel colder. "I thought we trusted each other." He stared at her. "Do we?" Her jaw tightened. For a long second, neither of them spoke. Then she grabbed her purse and said, "I'm going to yoga," though her gym bag wasn't in sight. The door closed softly behind her. That evening, Daniel couldn't stop himself. He drove to the address from the mysterious Uber receipt, the one from 2 nights ago. A hotel on the edge of Route 9, the kind with a flickering sign and an empty parking lot. He parked a few blocks away. Rain started to fall, smearing the reflections of red lights across the asphalt. The place looked quiet, except for a faint glow behind one of the curtains on the second floor. He almost laughed at himself. "This is insane," he thought. "I'm stalking my own wife." Then his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Room 214. He froze. The hotel had 2 floors. Room 214 would be upstairs, on the far left. For a long moment, he just sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel. Then, before he could talk himself out of it, he got out and walked through the rain. Inside, the hallway smelled of cheap detergent and something sweet. Perfume, faint and familiar. He counted the doors as he passed them. 210, 212. And then, voices. Melissa's voice. Low, nervous laughter. And a man's, deep, amused. Daniel's heart slammed against his ribs. He took a step closer, then stopped just short of the door. He could hear them clearly now, too clearly. "Melissa, you shouldn't say things like that." "Man, why not? He'll never know." "Melissa," softly, "he's not stupid, David." "David." The name cut like a wire snapping in his chest. "Man. Then maybe he just doesn't want to know." Silence. Then the sound of movement. A chair scraping, footsteps, and a muffled laugh. Daniel felt the hallway tilt. He wanted to open the door, to end it. But something held him still. The sick, paralyzing instinct of needing proof, not just sound. He stepped back, shaking, his breath shallow. When the door creaked slightly open from the inside, he ducked into the shadowed corner near the vending machine. Melissa stepped out into the hallway. Her hair was slightly undone, her lipstick faintly smeared at the corner. She smiled, as the man behind her said quietly, "Same time next week?" She nodded. "Text me first." Then she looked down the hallway for a brief moment, right past where Daniel stood hidden in the dark, and walked away. He didn't move until her footsteps disappeared completely. Outside, the rain had turned into a downpour. Daniel leaned against his car, hands gripping the cold metal roof. He wanted to scream, to cry, to laugh at the sheer absurdity. But all that came out was a whisper. "She's really doing it." His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Now you know." He stared at the screen, trembling. "Daniel, who are you?" No reply. He sat there for minutes, or maybe hours. Every memory of their marriage replayed in his head like film reels burning at the edges. The mornings, the quiet dinners, the long car rides with shared playlists, all of it shattered by that single image of her stepping out of room 214, smiling like she had nothing to lose. Finally, he drove home. Melissa was already there, curled on the couch, pretending to watch a show. She looked up, her face calm, Tired. Practiced. You're late, she said softly. Everything okay? Daniel stared at her. The lie was sitting right there between them, like a living thing. He forced a smile that felt like it might break his face. Yeah, he said. Everything's fine. She smiled back. Good. And just like that, the play continued. Both of them actors now, pretending not to see the storm gathering behind their lines. But Daniel wasn't the same man anymore. He'd seen too much. And deep down, he knew this wasn't over. Not yet. Daniel barely slept that night. He lay awake, watching the ceiling dissolve into morning light, hearing her soft breathing beside him, the rhythm of a stranger's sleep. By sunrise, he decided one thing. He needed to know who sent those messages. At breakfast, Melissa hummed along with the radio, scrolling through her phone. She looked like the picture of calm, as if she hadn't lied to his face 12 hours ago. He watched her closely. Every movement was deliberate, careful, almost rehearsed. When she caught him staring, she smiled. Why are you looking at me like that? He forced a chuckle. Just thinking. About what? He hesitated. Then, us. Her smile faltered for just a second. Quick, but there. That sounds serious. It is. He set down his coffee. Do you ever feel like we're drifting apart? Melissa looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. Perfect performance. Oh, Daniel. Everyone goes through phases. Work, routine, stress. We'll be fine. She reached across the table and touched his hand. Warm. Familiar. Completely fake. He nodded slowly, pretending to believe her. But her phone buzzed again, and she snatched it up instantly. Work? He asked casually. She smiled too wide. Yeah, my boss. He smiled back. Which one? David. The spoon slipped from her hand, clattering against the plate. Her eyes flicked up, sharp and cold, before she masked it with a laugh. Who's David? She said softly, but there was a warning in her tone. You're acting weird, Daniel. He stood. Yeah, maybe I am. When she left for yoga, he didn't follow this time. He waited. Then, when her car disappeared around the corner, he opened his laptop. He searched through their shared account records again. Hotel payments, ride receipts, strange transactions. One stood out. A recurring charge from a delivery app, addressed to a name he didn't recognize. L. Porter. He clicked it. Same neighborhood as the hotel. Same nights she claimed to work late. And the name on the Uber receipt, the one that first caught his eye, matched the drop-off address exactly. Daniel felt a chill run through him. Who are you, L. Porter? That evening, he sat in his car across from a quiet townhouse, gray siding, small porch light glowing. The address matched. The same place she'd gone last Friday. He waited. Minutes turned to hours. The radio clock ticked past 8 p.m. And then, headlights. Melissa's car. She parked 2 houses down, got out, and glanced around before walking toward the house. No hesitation. No nerves. Just confidence, like someone coming home. Daniel's hands clenched the steering wheel. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You're not crazy. But she's smarter than you think. His throat tightened. He typed back with shaking fingers. Daniel, who are you? Why are you helping me? The typing dots appeared, then vanished. No reply. He watched the porch light flicker off. Curtains moved, silhouettes crossing, laughter faint through the rain. Something inside him cracked. Not anger. Not even grief. Just a hollow, electric calm. The kind you feel before doing something you'll regret forever. The next day, Melissa was waiting when he came home. Leaning on the counter, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Daniel, she said quietly. We need to talk. He set down his keys. Do we? Yes. Her voice softened. You've been acting different. Distant. I can feel it. He gave a short laugh. You feel that, huh? Don't do that, she said. Don't turn this into some sarcastic thing. I'm trying to fix whatever's wrong between us. Are you? He said, stepping closer. Because last I checked, you were fixing things somewhere off Route 9. Her face went pale. Excuse me. He pulled out his phone, opened the photo he'd taken, a blurry shot of her car outside the motel. He held it out. You want to tell me what this is? Melissa stared at it, then back at him. And to his horror, she smiled. A slow, bitter smile. You followed me, she said softly. Wow. I didn't think you had it in you. Don't, he warned. Don't make this about me. She tilted her head. You think this is the first time someone's followed their spouse? You think you're the first man to realize his marriage isn't perfect? Perfect. His voice rose. You lied to me. You. Stop, she snapped. You don't know anything about me. Then tell me, he shouted. Tell me why. Her eyes glistened, not with guilt, but with fury. Because I was tired, Daniel. Tired of waiting for you to notice me. Tired of living with someone who sees everything except what's right in front of him. He took a step back. You're blaming me? I'm explaining, she hissed. You stopped caring years ago. You think paying bills and mowing the lawn makes you a husband? You think I wanted this? Her words hit like stones. But beneath the anger, Daniel saw something else, fear. The mask slipping. You can't twist this, he said quietly. Not this time. She stared at him, breathing hard. Then, softer. Maybe you should have asked yourself why someone would rather lie to you than talk to you. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then she grabbed her coat and walked out, slamming the door behind her. That night, Daniel sat alone in the living room, surrounded by the echo of her words. He replayed every moment, the laughter, the accusations, the lies, and felt something strange. A flicker of pity, not for her, for himself, for the man who kept believing he could fix something that had already been burned to ash. His phone lit up again. Unknown number. Now you see who she really is. But do you know who he is? He froze. The screen stayed bright, waiting for him to reply. But before he could, another message appeared. Unknown number. She's not done. And neither am I. Daniel didn't sleep that night. The apartment felt too quiet, too heavy, as if every shadow was waiting for him to make a mistake. He sat at the kitchen table, the small lamp casting a circle of light on the counter, and stared at his coffee, cold and bitter. He kept thinking about the messages, the unknown number, the motel, the recurring names, the laughter that wasn't for him. Every detail replayed, looping, like a record stuck on a scratch. Then he heard it, a soft knock at the door. His heart jumped. He wasn't expecting anyone, not at this hour. Melissa, he called, his voice quieter than he wanted. No answer. The knock came again, hesitant, almost timid. He approached slowly, every step measured. He opened the door. Nothing, just the hallway, empty and dim. A note fluttered at his feet. He picked it up. 2 words, hastily written. I'm sorry. His stomach twisted. He didn't know if it was for him or for someone else. The next morning, he waited. Melissa came out of the bedroom, yawning, stretching, like a woman who had slept peacefully, with no knowledge of the storm she had stirred. Morning, she said casually. Coffee. Daniel's hands shook slightly as he poured it. We need to talk, he said. Melissa looked up, calm. Too calm. About what? You know what, he replied. About everything. Her eyes narrowed. Daniel, this is getting ridiculous. I don't know what you're thinking. He put down the cup, leaned on the counter, and forced himself to meet her gaze. Don't lie to me. I saw you. I know things. And you're not telling me the truth. Melissa's lips parted. Then she smiled, faint, almost sad. You think I'm hiding something? She asked softly. Yes, he said. I know you are. Her smile disappeared. A flicker of fear crossed her eyes. Quick, almost imperceptible, but it was there. You've been spying on me, she accused. Following me? Yes, he admitted. Because I needed to know. And now I do. Melissa looked away. Then she spoke, quiet, deliberate. Daniel, you're not ready for the truth. Try me, he said, his voice low, trembling. She hesitated, took a deep breath. It's not just one person. You already know that. There's more. Her words broke off. You're telling me there are others? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. Melissa nodded. Yes. The silence was heavy, full of words they could not say. Daniel's mind spun. Anger, disbelief, heartbreak, all tangled into one raw nerve. Why? He finally asked. Why would you do this? Melissa's eyes glistened, not with tears yet, but with something sharper, defiance. Because, she said, I felt invisible. You stopped seeing me, Daniel. You stopped noticing me. He laughed bitterly. You think that excuses this? Lying, cheating, making a mockery of what we had. She stepped closer. I didn't make a mockery. I found my truth. Daniel's hands shook. He wanted to grab her, shake her, demand answers. But he also felt the icy weight of fear. Your truth, he whispered. What about us? Our family. Melissa's lips tightened. What about us? She echoed. You were already gone, in your own way. You didn't see me. You didn't listen. He wanted to scream, wanted to break something, wanted to collapse and cry. Instead, he said quietly, then I guess The truth is, we're done. I can't live in a lie with someone I don't know. Melissa's face fell. For a second, the mask slipped, revealing the woman he had loved once. Vulnerable, human. And then it was gone. She nodded slowly. I guess we are. That night, Daniel packed a small bag. He didn't know where he'd go or how he'd start again. But he knew one thing. He couldn't stay. Melissa watched him from the doorway. No words. No pleading. Just quiet observation. He felt a strange clarity as he walked out the door. For the first time in months, he could breathe. But somewhere deep inside, a part of him whispered, "This isn't over." Daniel returned to the apartment late that night. The city outside hummed softly, but inside, the silence was deafening. He sat at the kitchen table, staring at the small bag he'd packed earlier, the one ready for an exit he hadn't yet taken. His hands shook slightly, and he realized he hadn't eaten in hours. He knew he couldn't sleep. Not yet. Something was still missing. He had the motel, the messages, Melissa's words, but it wasn't complete. There was a piece of the puzzle he hadn't found. It was then he remembered the gym bag she'd left by the door that morning. In the chaos of the day, he'd barely noticed it. Curiosity, mixed with fear, drove him toward it. He opened the zipper. The bag was mostly her workout clothes, a water bottle, and a towel. But at the bottom, tucked under a pair of shoes, was a second phone. Not hers. Not his. He picked it up. It was sleek, black, locked with a passcode. He tried the obvious ones, their anniversary, her birthday. Nothing. Then, with a surge of intuition, he typed the 4 digits of the locker code she used at the gym. It worked. The screen lit up. Messages, photos, and voice notes. He swallowed hard. The first message he opened was from L. Porter. Simple words, but they hit like a hammer. "You're amazing tonight. Can't wait to see you again." The second message came from a different number. "Missed you today. Dinner tomorrow." And another. "Don't forget what we talked about." Daniel's head spun. Multiple men. Multiple connections. And worse, he hadn't even begun to scroll through the group chat. Then he found it. A chat with several names, and at the top, Melissa's message. "He doesn't know? He thinks I'm faithful. Haha, my sweet little clueless cuckold." Daniel froze. The words seemed to echo through the apartment. Clueless cuckold. His marriage, his trust, reduced to a joke. He felt the walls close in. He opened a photo she had sent in the chat, a blurred image of her laughing with another man. He couldn't see much, but the intimacy was unmistakable. His stomach churned. Every fiber of his being screamed at him to throw the phone across the room, to confront her, to scream. But he didn't. Instead, he read, and read, and read. The next morning, Melissa came out, bright and casual, humming a tune. "Morning," she said, pouring coffee. "Did you sleep well?" Daniel's hand tightened around his mug. "Melissa, we need to talk." Again. She raised an eyebrow. "About what now?" "The phone," he said. "The messages. Everything I found." Melissa's face changed. Not fear. Not guilt. But calculation. "You found what?" she asked calmly. "I found your second phone," he said. "The chat. The messages. The joke about me." Her lips pressed together. She didn't speak. "You're telling me it's not true?" he demanded. "That you haven't been lying, cheating, laughing at me behind my back?" Melissa sighed. She sat down, finally. "Daniel, you don't understand." "I understand enough," he said. "You've been living a double life." She looked down at her hands. I had reasons. You were always so distracted. So distant. I needed attention." "Attention?" he asked, incredulous. "By deceiving me? By humiliating me?" She finally looked at him. Her eyes were glossy, but she was composed. "It wasn't meant to hurt you. It just happened." Daniel laughed bitterly, a low, harsh sound. "Just happened? Really?" "Yes," she whispered. "And now you know. You have all the proof you need." He swallowed, feeling the weight of years of trust crashing down. "All the proof," he repeated, letting the words sink in. "And now what are you going to do about it?" Melissa hesitated. I don't know. I didn't plan this part." He shook his head. "No one ever plans the consequences, do they?" That night, Daniel sat alone again, phone in hand, the glow illuminating his exhausted face. He realized something terrifying. He had the evidence. He knew everything. But what could he do? Confront her and risk a war? Walk away and let her laugh at him? His mind raced. He imagined talking to friends, telling them the truth, exposing her. But then he thought, she already controlled the narrative. She had spun it. The world already had her version ready. He set the phone down, heart pounding. He whispered to himself, I can't let her win. Not like this. The apartment was quiet, but the silence was no longer safe. It was full of questions, full of traps, full of the knowledge that nothing would ever be the same again. And deep inside, Daniel knew one thing. Melissa's game wasn't over. It was just beginning. Daniel sat at the kitchen table, the second phone lying between them like a loaded gun. The apartment was silent, except for the faint hum of the fridge. Melissa leaned against the counter, arms crossed, eyes sharp. You're staring at me like I'm going to disappear, she said, voice calm but edged with challenge. You've disappeared, Daniel said quietly. Piece by piece, moment by moment. Melissa laughed softly, almost musical. Wow, that's dramatic. Do you practice that in front of the mirror? Daniel didn't flinch. He leaned forward. Do you think this is funny? Me, reading your messages, your little jokes, your life outside of us. She tilted her head, calm, calculated. Life outside of you. That's a strong way to put it. It's the truth, he snapped. I know about the second phone, the chats, the men, the motel. I know everything. Melissa's eyes flickered, just for a second. Then she smirked. You think you know everything. Daniel's pulse jumped. Explain. Melissa straightened, walking slowly toward the table, letting the silence stretch like a rope ready to snap. Maybe there's more you don't know. Maybe. I wanted to see if you'd notice. If you'd care. If you'd try. Daniel's hands clenched. Try? Try to what? Accept being humiliated? That's your test. Her smirk faded. It's not about humiliation. It's about honesty. About whether you're paying attention. He shook his head, disbelief cracking his voice. So all the lies, all the cheating, the laughter behind my back, that was a lesson? Melissa leaned closer, whispering, not a lesson. A truth. You've been blind for too long, Daniel. He slammed his hand on the table, making the phone jump. Truth? You think laughing at me, hiding things, calling me. What was it? A cuckold is truth. Her lips twitched. I didn't say it to you. You never hear what I really say. You just hear what you want to hear. Daniel's chest tightened. Every word was another knife, slicing through the remnants of trust he had left. Melissa, he said, softer now, almost pleading. Look at me. Tell me one thing that makes this anything but betrayal. She hesitated. For the first time, the mask faltered. Her voice softened. I didn't plan for it to go this far. I thought, maybe you'd understand me if you saw it. If you saw how far I'd gone, how lonely I felt. Alone? Daniel asked. You call sleeping with other men because you felt lonely? She swallowed hard. Yes and no. It's complicated. Daniel shook his head, his mind racing. Complicated? Do you even realize what you've done to us? To me? To this life we built? Melissa's eyes glistened. I know. And I'm sorry. I wish I could take it back. He exhaled slowly, the room heavy with tension. Sorry doesn't erase months of lies. It doesn't erase the humiliation, the feeling that I was nothing but a joke. Melissa stepped back, voice trembling. I never meant to hurt you like this. Never. He leaned back, staring at her, trying to read the honesty behind the words. Could he believe her? Could he forgive? The questions churned like storm clouds in his mind. Then she said softly, almost a whisper, Do you want me to confess everything? Right now? Daniel's pulse thundered. Everything. Every detail. She nodded slowly. You won't like it, and it won't make you feel better. But yes, I'll tell you everything. For the first time, the apartment felt alive with danger. Not physical, but emotional. The air thick with anticipation, like a theater before the curtain rises. Daniel swallowed hard. Start talking. Melissa took a deep breath. There's David, of course, but that's not all. There's another. And another. I never thought it would come out like this. Daniel felt his stomach drop. He had imagined it. He had feared it. But hearing her admit it was different. Another, he repeated, voice low, controlled. How many, Melissa? She didn't answer immediately. Just met his eyes. Her lips parted, then closed. You'll see in time. I can't list them all at once. Daniel's fists clenched, then relaxed. He realized something. The game had only begun. Melissa had controlled the lies this long. Now, she was daring him to respond, to act, to make a choice. Fine, he said quietly. We'll go slow, step by step. But know this. He leaned closer, voice deadly calm. Every lie you've told has a consequence. And I'm not the same man you deceived before. Melissa swallowed, eyes wide, but unflinching. I'm not afraid of consequences, she whispered. Daniel stared at her. The room was tense, every second stretched tight. The confession game had begun, and Daniel knew, with a certainty that chilled him, that nothing would ever be the same again. Daniel didn't sleep again. His mind kept replaying Melissa's words from last night, the flicker of fear, the mask of calm she had tried to wear. He paced the apartment, hands clenching, unclenching, unsure whether he wanted to scream or disappear. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. There's more. Another one. He froze. His heart hammered. Another? He had already known about David, the others she had admitted. How many more could there be? Daniel, who is it? No reply. Just a blinking cursor. He sat down, trying to breathe, trying to think. But the calm that had once existed between them, the semblance of their life together, was gone. Melissa came out of the bedroom, dressed casually, carrying a cup of coffee. You're tense, she said softly. Didn't sleep either? Daniel didn't answer. Instead, he held up the second phone. Another one. You're still hiding someone from me. Melissa's face tightened. It's complicated. Complicated. Daniel snapped. You've lied, cheated, mocked me, and now you call this complicated? Melissa set down her cup, leaning against the counter. Her voice dropped. Daniel, it's not just about you. It's not about being cruel. I didn't plan for any of this to go wrong. Daniel's fists clenched. Go wrong? Melissa, it's all wrong. Every single piece of it. And yet you keep going. Melissa hesitated. Her eyes darted to the floor, then back up. I can tell you. But it's hard. Try me. Daniel said, voice low and controlled, every word deliberate. Tell me now. The truth. Every last piece. She took a deep breath. There's someone else, someone I've been seeing for months. Longer than David. Daniel's chest tightened. How long? Since before you noticed. Before I realized how lonely I really was. Daniel's mind spun. His stomach turned. He felt like the floor had dropped beneath him. And you never told me? Melissa shook her head. I didn't know how. I was ashamed, scared, and I didn't want to hurt you. Didn't want to hurt me? Daniel's voice broke. Do you have any idea what this feels like? To realize your wife has been living a double life, mocking you behind your back. Melissa's eyes glistened. I do, and I hate myself for it. But you have to understand. I needed someone to see me, to care. Daniel leaned back, silent for a moment. Every memory of their life together, the mornings, the quiet dinners, the laughter, felt like a cruel joke. Another one, he whispered. You've been seeing someone longer than David. How many more? Melissa didn't answer. She looked at him, eyes wide, lips trembling. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's too late now. Daniel's hands trembled. The second phone, the messages, the hotel receipts, it all came together like a storm he could no longer control. He felt a surge of something dangerous. Anger? Betrayal? Despair? All at once. I can't do this anymore, he said quietly. I can't live in a house built on lies. I can't. I can't be the man you mock in private. Melissa stepped closer. Daniel, please try to understand. No, he interrupted, voice rising. No understanding can fix this. You've chosen this life. And I choose myself now. She swallowed hard, realizing the line had been crossed. You're leaving? Daniel didn't answer. He turned toward the door, grabbing his small bag from the table. His movements were calm, deliberate, but inside, every nerve was electric. Melissa's voice followed him, soft, almost pleading. Daniel, don't go like this. We can fix it. We can talk. He shook his head. There's nothing to fix. Not anymore. He walked out the door, leaving Melissa standing in the kitchen, silent, eyes glistening with something between fear and regret. Outside, the city was wet with rain. The streets glimmered under the streetlights, and Daniel realized the world hadn't ended. Only his old life had. And deep inside, he knew this wasn't just betrayal. This was the moment his life changed forever. Daniel sat in the dark living room, the city lights flickering through the blinds. His hands trembled, gripping the second phone like it was both weapon and confession. Every message he had read, every photo, every receipt, it was a mountain of betrayal he couldn't climb over. He heard the front door open. Melissa stepped in, calm on the surface, but he could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands fidgeted with her coat. Daniel, she said softly, we need to talk. Please, just listen. He didn't respond. He only held up the phone. It glowed in the dim light, revealing everything she had tried to hide. Melissa took a deep breath. I didn't want you to find out like this. I I never wanted to hurt you. You never wanted to hurt me? Daniel's voice was low, almost a growl. Do you realize what you've done? Every lie, every meeting, every secret, it's all here. And you expect me to what? Pretend it didn't happen. Her eyes filled with tears. No, I wanted to explain. Explain? He repeated, voice shaking with rage and disbelief. Explain months of deception? The people, the lies, the jokes behind my back? How do you explain that? Melissa's lips quivered. I I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. I got lost. I didn't know how to come back. Daniel stood, pacing the room, heart hammering. Lost. You think that makes it okay? Do you understand what trust is? Do you even remember what that means? She flinched at the anger in his voice. Yes, I remember. I remember every day I felt unseen, ignored, like my life was disappearing into routine, and I. You did this instead, he interrupted. You chose all of this, over us. Over me. Over our family. Melissa's voice dropped, almost a whisper. I know, and I'm sorry. I can't take it back. Daniel stopped pacing. He stared at her, at the woman he once loved, now someone he barely recognized. Sorry isn't enough. It never will be. You've burned everything to the ground. Melissa took a step closer. Daniel, please, we can try. No, he said firmly. We can't. Not anymore. You've crossed a line. You've taken everything we built and turned it into this. The apartment was silent, heavy with the weight of their destroyed trust. Every corner, every shadow, seemed to echo the betrayal. Daniel grabbed his bag. I'm leaving. I need space. I need clarity. I can't stay here and pretend this didn't happen. Melissa's eyes filled with fresh tears. Daniel, please don't walk away. He shook his head. It's too late. Way too late. He opened the door and stepped out into the night. The rain had started again, cold drops tapping against his shoulders. The city stretched endlessly before him, chaotic and indifferent, just like his life had become. As he walked away, he realized something. The collapse of trust wasn't just about the lies or the cheating. It was about the truth finally coming to light. And some truths, once revealed, could never be undone. Daniel didn't know how long he had been walking. The rain had soaked through his jacket, but he barely noticed. Each step echoed like a countdown, everyone bringing him closer to a reality he couldn't ignore. By the time he returned to the apartment, the morning light was pale and cold. Melissa was there, sitting silently at the kitchen table, a cup of untouched coffee in front of her. Daniel, she said softly, did you sleep at all? He looked at her without speaking. His eyes were tired, but sharp, like someone who had seen too much in too short a time. Melissa swallowed. We need to talk about what happens next. Daniel nodded slowly. Yes, we do. She flinched slightly at his calm tone. I know, and I'm ready to whatever you decide. He pulled out the second phone, placing it on the table between them. This, he said, voice low, is everything. Every secret, every lie, every betrayal. And now we have to decide what this means for us. Melissa's hands trembled. Daniel, I want to fix it. I want to save us. Daniel shook his head. Fix it. After all of this? You don't understand. Trust isn't something you can just patch up with apologies. It's gone. Burned. And some things can't be rebuilt. She looked down, voice barely audible. So what? You want a divorce? Daniel's jaw tightened. Maybe. Maybe that's the only way to survive this. Maybe that's the only way to save what little of myself remains. Melissa's eyes filled with tears. But we can try. Therapy, talking, anything. He took a deep breath. Melissa, I've tried to see the best in us. But every time I look at you now, I see all the lies. All the moments I thought we were together, and you were elsewhere, somewhere else, laughing at me. How can we come back from that? She reached for his hand, trembling. Please don't leave like this. Not yet. Let's at least try. Daniel withdrew his hand gently, not cruelly, but firmly. I need to leave. I need to think, to breathe, to figure out who I am now, without all of this dragging me down. Maybe we'll meet later, as strangers, and maybe we won't. But right now I need space. Melissa's tears rolled freely now. Daniel, don't go. Please. He looked at her one last time, The woman he had loved more than anything, now a stranger. I'm not leaving because I want to. I'm leaving because I have to. He picked up his bag and walked to the door. The apartment felt heavier than ever, the weight of betrayal thick in the air. As he stepped into the city streets, rain soaking his hair, he realized the consequences of Melissa's choices were not hers alone. They belonged to both of them now, and some consequences would last a lifetime. Daniel walked through the streets, rain running down his face, blending with the exhaustion, the anger, the heartbreak. The city seemed endless, indifferent, yet every sound felt amplified. The hum of traffic, the drip of water from the rooftops, the faint murmur of distant voices. He didn't know where he was going. He only knew he couldn't go back. Not to Melissa, not to the apartment, not to the life that had been stolen from him piece by piece. When he returned that evening, the apartment was empty. Melissa had packed a small bag, left a note. "I'm sorry. I hope you find peace." Daniel read it once, then crumpled it, not out of anger, but from a strange sense of finality. He sat in the living room, the second phone lying on the table, silent now. It contained all the proof, all the messages, all the lies. But he didn't need to look. He had already seen everything, felt everything. The betrayal was etched into his memory. He thought about their years together, the laughter, the quiet mornings, the dinners, the plans for the future. All of it gone, destroyed by choices he couldn't undo. His phone buzzed. A message from a friend. "Are you okay?" He stared at it, then typed back simply, "I'll survive." Daniel realized something then. Survival wasn't about forgiveness. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about reclaiming what was lost. It was about moving forward, carrying the pain, but not letting it define him. Days passed. Daniel found a small apartment, quiet and bare. He walked the streets, alone but awake, noticing things he had missed before. The smell of coffee shops, the sound of children laughing in a park, the sky after the rain. Melissa tried to reach him a few times. He ignored the calls. He didn't need closure from her. He needed it from himself. One evening, he stood on the balcony, watching the sun set behind the city skyline. The orange and pink hues reflected off the glass towers, indifferent and beautiful. He felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in months. Calm. Not happiness. Not relief. But clarity. He whispered to himself, quietly, like a promise. "I won't be broken by what she did. I will live. I will survive. I will be stronger than before." The apartment was silent. The city alive. And Daniel finally felt the weight begin to lift, just a little, as he faced a future he would have to build alone. Some doors had closed forever. Some hearts had been shattered. But he had survived the storm. And in survival, he found a beginning.